Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to the beginning of a long series of videos for the unboxing of 6 Siege, the board game based on, up at the top there, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. This is a tactical based miniatures game. There will be two different sides you play as. One side plays the attacker, one side plays the defender. And you utilize your different mechanics that each one of your different characters or your team can use. So we have like the big core box set back here in the black box. Plus we have 5 different years, yellow, orange, green, blue, and red. And then on the bottom is like some alternate figures plus an alternate one for the 0 character. So there's a lot of different characters in here. I think the core set comes with like 22, and then each box itself, I think, has, except for the last couple, have like 8 each. So 4 for each team. So there's a lot of different characters and content, and that's what makes up the game. There's a couple different play mats we'll be going through, or not play mats, but boards. Some double-sided boards we'll be going through, so you have different locations to play. Yeah, so we'll do a video for each different box, plus I have some extra add-ons and upgrade features we'll go through. The core box, we're going to spend some time going through a couple different videos, going through each of the different characters on each team, as well as like a video, just usually the beginning video here, I'll go through all the rules, kind of go through that. We'll look through the main components quick, then we'll come back and review them in a little bit more detail when we need to. Just as a heads up for this, and for anyone that wants to leave any information in the comment on this, if you knew about this game from the Kickstarter campaign, is there were some issues that came up. I am not going to address them whatsoever outside of this little blurb here. What happened with that is its own thing. The point of these videos is to show you guys what are in all the boxes. That being said, this game is not meant to be going to retail. It may be available through the company, down there in the bottom, Mythic's website. Otherwise, people might be selling it through their game stores that they bought, or eBay, or secondhand, or however. Previous owner might just be trying to get rid of it. Maybe because they didn't want it, or whatever. Or even the far future, 10 years from now. Point of these videos, so you guys know what content is in the box. You can decide whether it's something you would want or not. So we're just looking at the game component stuff. I'm not going to put any emphasis, thoughts, feelings, or times into what happened during development or Kickstarter of the game. You want to know about that stuff, feel free to go look it up, look at the Kickstarter thing, make your judgment on that. This is just to show off the game itself. So cool. So without too much further ado, we're going to hop in and look at this. So we're going to, I'm going to flip my camera back down a little bit here. We're going to look at something. So we're going to have the big old rule book here, which I will hop into a little bit more in depth in just a couple minutes here. So there's a lot of different miniatures, components to this game. And I even said when I first opened up this book and started looking through it, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, this game looks like it is going to be, like, a pain to learn, because there's so much content, do this thing. But I feel like it's a lot of games, is once you start actually getting into it and breaking everything down, like, half of this information is just, it's details on what to be doing. So, like, even here, it's just showing, like, this is a quick run. It's saying what you can do on your turn. Like, you can move, you can run, you can overwatch, you can shoot someone, you can use a gadget, destroy an object, or use a special gadget. And that's saying which characters can do it, which ones can't do it, where you can do it from, either the main floor or the upper floor. But now take this and assume that each one of these broke down into, like, a page or two, just more detailing how to do each one of these. And that's why it seems a little intense first looking at it. But once you actually get into it, it kind of makes sense. Yeah, my thought there, as I always bring it up, is like with Magic the Gathering. People, like, if you break down every step of Magic the Gathering, even most card games, it seems very intense, because it's, oh, I draw a card. I have a main step, and then you check to see if you can do something, and then I play a card, then you check if you can do something, then I get to play a card, then you can check. Okay, now no one's checked, then we go to step 2, and then this, and then you check, and this. And you start breaking down all the little details. What seems like it's like there's like 50 steps. But then you actually watch people play games. It's like, okay, I pay this, I do this, I take my turn, your turn, go. I did this, I did 3 damage to him, go. And that's what this game ends up being. This is a fast-paced game. I'm going to heads up that right off the bat, too. There's 2 overall ways to play this. So I do want to get into that, I think, before I go into too much other detail and anything else, because maybe that might even shy you away from this. It says in the beginning here, down at the bottom, it says, this game requires a 6-seed board game app, which can be downloaded from the Google Play App Store. If you're unable to use the app, prefer not to see the no app variant. So why it's saying you need an app is, I'm going to find that page that shows there is a timer. So basically in the game, you're gonna have time speeds and stuff like that, so standards. So typically what it does is standards is deployment for your characters is about 15 minutes for the defending characters. They get a chance to sit there for where they want to defend everybody, which ends up being about 1 minute per operator for your actions, and then the other side, the attackers get about 5 minutes, so they get less. And then you go through, and as you're playing through, is every time you switch to the other person's turn, you have to hit continue to the next person. So you see, like, Laura here has 15 minutes to start her deployment to get everything figured out, and then Nathan only gets 5 minutes to kind of look at the board and see where he wants to put his stuff. Which sounds like a long time, but like if you have 5 or 6 characters, it can take a little bit, because defending characters get like they get to place other things on the board, move stuff around on the board and stuff like that, where then the attackers are just, where are you coming into the building at? But then as you're playing through the game, you will be flipping back and forth between each player's turn. So like, the attacker gets to go first. When they're done, then they stop the timer wherever they were. And then now it goes to the next person. So if the first attacker spends 2 minutes deciding how he wants to attack or what he wants to do, that only leaves him 3 minutes for each other character. So they leave about a minute per operator. So if you have 5 characters, you have 5 minutes. But if you spend too long with each one, you're eventually going to run out of time. You might not get to act with the last guy. And it goes back and forth like this. So it's a very fast-paced game. There are times when you will pause the game during action, during shooting, or trying to figure out conflicts and stuff. But it's meant to not keep people sitting there looking at the board for 10 minutes being like, well, okay, if I move this guy here, then he could do this. But if I move him here, it wants you to move quick like you're playing the video game. And then like here it's showing that like after a round, Laura lost 2 characters. Now she only has 3 minutes to activate, where Nathan lost 1. He still has 4 minutes. So that makes a difference in the game too. And I just want to kind of front load that, because if that's the type of game this is. Now, there is an alternative mode to play without that. So the no app variant, which you can change it. If you want to use the opposite, you can use stopwatches or a chess clock or a smartphone app to replace the speed settings, and you just have like for different difficulties. You just set to different times. Or they have a full no-app variant where you can just use bonus tokens instead for challenges. So it is possible to play without the app, and the no-app variant will actually make the game, give you that freedom to take as long as you want, which might be better for a beginner game. But yeah, I just want to point that out. Okay, I will go through these, go through the rules a little bit later. I want to jump through some of the rest of this stuff quick. So then we have a mission board, or mission guide. So it's going to show our different boards, going to explain how the different missions work. There are 3 main types of missions. There are bomb missions, so they're trying to prime a bomb or dismantle it. There is a hostage, it's just trying to extract the hostage or keep them safe. And then there's control missions, taking taking control of certain parts of the board. So at the beginning of the boards, it's going to or the beginning of the board, beginning of the missions, it's going to tell you what map you're on, the consulate on the Abidjan coast, Ivory Coast. You're doing the bomb mission. These are the different environment components you're going to need, what you get to do during deployment and stuff like that. And then here it's going to show how you set all that stuff up. So you put these guys here, different things in different spots. And then we have like the same thing. So if we're doing the hostage mission, it's going to show we have some different stuff in there, and then how you set the building up a little bit differently for that. Now, the other big takeaway from here is when you're playing as a defender, you also get a chance to move some of this stuff around or add your own components. But then it'll have the different things for each 2 different things. They even have beginner ones for control. So here it's actually showing a beginner version where, hey, here, if you're not sure what to do, you can start with this mission. And it's going to tell you to put your specific characters in these directions, facing these specific directions. So that also kind of helps for if you're not for sure what to do or actually who to play as. So that's also really fun too. They made beginner missions for each of the different ones. So we have, one for hostage, for bomb, and control for each of the different areas. So a bunch of different missions to start with. We're going to get 2 copies of these, which are really nice. These are just quick instruction manuals. These are actually nice quality component here too. Yeah, just again reminding you of movement, just so you can keep this out so you don't have to go to the book for everything. But yeah, game rounds will go attacker gets to activate, second player gets to activate, defender, attacker, defender, and then upkeep. That's 1 round. And the game, I think, is played over fully of like 6 rounds. So we have so many times to do stuff. Here's different things you get to do. Protection, how much damage you can reduce for being behind certain walls. We flip to the other side. We have some basic gadgets and keywords that come up and how all those work. And then some basic attacker and defender abilities or skills. We have like bulletproof cameras, different shields, claymores, grenades, tactical drones, stuff like that, which are really cool. And we get 2 of those, so that way each team can kind of keep 1 with them. We get a nice little sheet here explaining how all the different bunch of the pieces go together. So putting these things on base, your leaning posts on bases, attaching stickers. Most of you just put this onto a base, which is pretty self-explanatory. How some of the stickers are supposed to go on there. Speaking of that, we do get an entire sheet of stickers here. So for all your different cameras, just so they have their different symbols on there correct. And then you get all these different ones with all the names on them. And this is actually kind of a neat feature as well, or little components. So the characters will have these little bases that you can get. You can put the names on. But what these are actually for are probably generally meant for newer players or players who aren't familiar with the game. So if I don't know who Fuse or Montague or Twitch or Q are, I can put this on the base, attach it to the miniature, and then that way I can look at the board and I can see who they are, because they're all, gray miniatures. They're not painted. And I can easily tell which one of my characters is which one. And then either if you paint them or as you know the game, you get familiar with what each character looks like, you can remove them bases. You don't have to have like a big thing on there saying who the characters are. So it's kind of a neat like bonus feature. We're going to get a giant poster here that covers every single character from every single game. So like this blue one are all the core sets, then yellow is year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, so on and so forth. The only thing it does not cover is the special runner-up box. And I don't think it covers... it doesn't cover up the runner-up or any of the alternate figures, because they're more or less the same skills. They just have a couple little differences in there and different pictures. But it's kind of a fun little poster, and then the other side are the all the defenders. But one thing I love about it is, besides the fact that it helps you let you know which miniature is which, it's going to have some extra stuff on there saying what range a character is. So we know that Asher is going to be a mid-range character, where Glaz is going to be a long-range character. Plus, we see a Breacher and a Runner versus a Breacher and a Marksman. And then you can come up to the top here and see what those terms actually mean. So, like, a Breacher is going to destroy game elements with yellow or orange strength, where we have a Runner is going to be a highly mobile operator. So it kind of lets you get an idea of what character kind of does what. So if you find out, you know, if you played as Blitz and you like area control and tanking, you like the tank aspect, but you didn't really like the area control, or if you like both, you can kind of go back, oh, area control restricts access. Who else has that? Who else is that? Oh, Fuse is also an area control tank character. I like that, so I can keep doing that. You know, or if you just like the tanker, you could just take Montake. Or if you like runners from before, you could take IQ, and then you can try the Intel Scrambler part. So that's a really neat little neat idea for them to be able to do stuff. Then we have character boards. All right. So we have some recruits. These are just your generic soldiers. One has a rifle, one has like a shotgun. These are just generic guys to kind of help out, to like do certain little missions and stuff. Then we have all the boards for all the characters. And I will do another part of the video will be just going over each one of these. So I'm not going to spend too much time on them right now, but it's going to show that they have their weapon range, depending on how far away you are, will determine how many different dice you get to get. So, say like close range character is going to get more damage up close, versus a longer range character is going to have maybe more damage all the way through, but maybe not as heavy damage. So different stuff like that. Then they'll have body armor, how much damage they can absorb. If they have the ability to run, how many spaces they can run. And I think it's always either 0, 2, or 5. So basically, faster characters like Ash can run quicker. They can do more spaces. Most guys can do 2. A couple of them are so overweight they can't run. And then Destroy is showing what they can destroy. Certain walls at certain difficulties of the 3 different colors. Then finally, the last thing on each character's thing is going to be their abilities. So they'll get a little cube. They'll get these fun little metal cubes. I like these. Are awesome little shiny metal cubes. You put on each of those are essentially the charges for using their special attacks. And being the game only lasts so many rounds, and most characters have 2 to 3 uses of their abilities. You're probably going to use all of them. You don't have to keep saving them for like finisher attacks. But it'll tell you when you can use it as an action, or like he has one that's a reaction. If we flip to one of the other boards, they're all falling out on me. Yep, the defenders are going to have the same type of stuff. There's going to be an orange. Yeah, so like gas grenades. So if Smoke uses it, it's a throwable action. It says there you have to spend one of your tokens to use it. Pulse gets 2 different ones he can use. Like they still use the same amount. But yeah, so they get different. Each character has a different ability. And I think of all the characters, I don't think anyone has the exact same ability. I think some are going to have some that utilize the same components, like some that utilize cameras again, or different types of like grenades or smoke grenades, but I think they'll do a little bit different stuff. And I think I think only like one other guy has the same exact named ability. That's not including alternate art ones. So we do get, throughout the game, all the games, we're going to get, each box has at least one alternate. So we get like alternate Tachanka or Jagger, who are going to play almost identical to the other ones. So, yeah, if we put the 2 Tachankas next to each other. So they both have the Shamuka launcher, which is going to work the exact same way, same abilities, same, except one can destroy a little bit better than the other. But down the top, they also have a little bit different range. It's just kind of fun. So it gives you the alternate characters are going to have some different actions. Then we have a pile of tokens here. So we have Overwatch tokens. up there, just showing like kind of like if you're up on the top floor of a building, you can put these down so characters can know who's up top, kind of thing. We have lean tokens because you can actually stand in one spot and lean around a corner. It's kind of cool. You can see something without stepping out and taking full risk. Some different action defense tokens, your control tokens, some walls. So all of these ones right here are actually your hidden operators. So defenders get 2 tokens to start the game with that are hidden operators, so the attacker doesn't know where a character is when they start off. So if I'm playing Jagger, I put both of these down somewhere on the board. They don't even have to be anywhere near each other. So the attacker can now see where, when they're looking on the board, they can see Jagger could be here or here, but they don't know which one's Jagger. And then you flip it over, one was the regular, one was the actual one, which is a neat little mechanic. And if they actually get away from like out of line of sight, you get to pick these tokens back up, put them back on top of each other, then you can move them again separately. You can go back into hiding. So it really plays up that tactical combat feel, because we'll see that when we go through the rules a little bit more. But yeah, it's a neat concept. Then we have all these different barricades and walls. So if you break through a wall, you can put these like breach tokens on, so you can see that you've broke through, so you can shoot over them. Various barricades, single ones, double ones. These are for like walls and doorways and stuff that the defenders can put up that you have to now break through, so that the attacker can't just run freely through the house. We have some wound tokens, should be taking damage. Some more different types, some barbed wire tokens, some drones, not drones, these are claymores? Not claymores, that's not the right word either. I can't think of the name. Your action tokens. These actually I think are really cool. These are called, I forgot the exact name was. They are like, they're hiding cards, they're masks, that's what they call them. So what the masks do is you can play a game where you actually cover up some of your operator's abilities. So if I have 5 characters, I can cover up like 2 of them or 3 of them, and then you're just using their attack and movement abilities, but not their skills. So basically, it's like, oh, I have let's say Zero and Ash as the characters I'm actively playing as. I have just their abilities to focus on, but now I have 3 other teammates with me that actually have good skills, or like good attack, good movement, or whatever. But I don't have to also try and figure out how to play as 5 characters at once. So it's a really neat idea. Activation tokens to show which your characters have activated each turn, so you don't reactivate them. Then we get a bunch of 3D furniture that you get to build. So like you fold these around, they create little squares or rectangles, and they go on the board, and they work as things are just in between you and your opponents, or things you have to go around or spend extra action points going over. And you get a bunch of them. I think there's 16. And then just some more tokens we didn't see before. Then we have a box full of little goodies here. So we have our bases for each character group with no stickers on them yet, obviously. We have our dice, which the dice will all, basically they're in color form of lethality. So yellow are the easiest, so they have 2 blank sides, two one-shot sides, and 2 double shots. Then orange get a little bit more lethal, so they still have a blank, but then they have 2 1s, 2 2s, and a 3, so they're going to hit a little bit harder more often. Then the red one has no blank sides, but it has 2 1s, 2 2s, and 2 3s. So the more often you're rolling red, you're going to always hit. You roll yellow, you're going to miss, not quite 50% of the time, but, 25% of the time you'll miss. But even when you hit, you're not going to hit as much. So just the 3 different colored dice. Then we have a bunch of things. We have stands for all of our different stuff. Different walls and all that stuff. We have some little tiny pieces for our cameras. So these will all attach into these. They slide into those. which is nice that they slide in and out, because in that way you could pop them in, pop them out as you want to. You know, if you want to dismantle them for some reason, because some of these do kind of hang off a bit. So if like it would be more comfortable for you to take them off, you can do that. As well as we have some other little extra tokens that attach to some base stuff. Actually, sorry, I think these attach to the bottoms of these, so that you can see that this is, one of these is a wall and one is not. And that's kind of how those work. We have some little mini ones for shorter cameras. There's some extra pieces there. We have some locator tokens. So this is whenever you find one of the guys, the defenders, you can put one of these on there so you know which characters have been located and found. And then that way, like, these go away at the end of the turn if no one can see them. And then that way you know that, okay, they can't be certain. I can hide that character again if I want. As well as we have stun tokens, which are little exclamations, so they get stunned by a stun grenade or something. And these are fun because they're nice, clear, you can see them, they go on the bases. And then we have Overwatch tokens. This is also another cool mechanic of the game that I thought was really neat. So your character can go into this special Overwatch mode, which basically means they stand and they watch, like, in a door. You can stand them in a doorway or wherever, and they watch a certain, whatever area they can see in that direction. And then anyone enters that area, like any of the other team, then they immediately get a free attack on them. So basically it's sacrificing you hiding, like a defender, sacrificing them maybe hiding, or and they could still be hiding, but it makes them so they kind of have to be an available target. They're not hiding like in a corner. You just might not have revealed them yet. But it keeps everyone kind of like, you can't just run willy-nilly into a room, because you run in, you might end up taking a shot from a guy because he's watching that room, which makes sense. That's how these tactical shooter games work, right? You just run blazingly into a room, you're probably going to take a shot before you can react. And if they do hit you and they kill you, then you're done, right? Couple more components. We have tactical inventories for each team. So these are general inventories that the entire team gets to use, as opposed to the specific abilities of each character. So that's pretty cool as well. And it'll put them little cubes in there, depending on how many you would have. I think you can only spend like X number. They are called claymores. I was right. You can only spend like X number during each game. So I think you get like 5 or 6 or something. So that way you're not going to have this completely filled up every time. The last two major components here, or minor components, I don't know, are rulers. So these are clear rulers, so if you're trying to test for line of sight, and this is a big thing for the game, because and they still have some film on them, that's why they look a little like smoky yet. But this is so if you can't tell if someone's in line of sight to get shot, you can test them with these and then see what happens. So then we have our board. I'm going to back the camera up a little bit for this one. A little bit bigger. I'm going to push these boards back. Let's see if I can just move these off the table over here. Oh, I just lost a pack. And we'll look at a little bit more of this board in detail. I just want to give you guys an idea in this first video kind of how big the board is. So this is the size of the board. It's fairly big. And then there are some of the expansion boards are a little bit smaller. But you can see there's a lot of different rooms in there. Each of these little squares in here is where your characters can move around. Let me grab one of them quick so you can see as a comparison. So you do have a tray full of characters. So all the orange are your defenders, your blue are your attackers, some other tokens. So yeah, if I pull out this guy, which I don't even know who this is off the top of my head. But yeah, you can kind of see they'll each fit into one of the little like white squares there. These spots are where you put a piece of furniture down, they cover up that spot. But you have different doorways. You see little dotted lines in here. This is where you can put breachable some of the walls and stuff, so that way, like, you can set up defenses so the other team has to go through them. Plus, they start with some walls that are already pre-built in there. But yeah, each different map is going to give different ideas and different locations of what you can do, where you can hide. Have some really cool stuff like that in this game. And some of them have more entrances than others. So, like, the attackers are going to start somewhere on the outside here, but they're going to have, like, different doorways that they can enter through. So it's going to be a little bit trickier for them, depending on where the things are, where they want to start at. There are these little arrows here which show they can go upstairs. Upstairs is, like, it's an interesting mechanic in itself, because there's basically this giant floor with all this tile. All the different tiles and all the different spots. And then the upstairs is just the upstairs, which is represented by this little spot over here in the corner. Shows that little double arrow. And you can have only two players upstairs. The attacker has one down here in this corner. I'm not going to move the board right now for that. But yeah, so you can go upstairs and then basically you can come back down in one of the other areas. Or some of the rooms have these little tiny corners, which means you can attack down into that area. But not every single spot has one of those areas. So, like, for example, this room does, this room. But if you get into this room, they can't attack you in there. So if you're being attacked from above, that's, like, one way of being protected. You know, the same thing as if I kind of scooch the board over to this side. Like, this side is free from attacking upstairs. This one's free from attacking. All the rest are kind of there. So you kind of have to watch that, too. If you see someone go up to the top, you have to watch. They might not jump down at you or shoot down at you from one of them rooms. Although, again, if they're kind of doing that, you can shoot back up at them. So there's always that as well. But there's a lot of interesting little things in there. Again, you can move your different stuff. And although they have the guides to do stuff, you can definitely go through and set your own board games up. So, like, that was one side. I just want to flip to the other side really quick. Again, we'll look at these in another video a little bit more in detail. But here's a different one. So now we have a little bit tighter quarters here, but then there's there's entries and exits, but then there's stuff where you have to go all the way around. Like, the attackers can start on the outside here, but then if they come up on this side, they're going to have to break through these walls or go way around. But then, they can come over here. There's also some spots like this, which unless you put a barricade there, that's just a free open spot for them to run in. They don't have to spend turns breaking through walls, because this is all an outside area right here. So they can come in up through here, walk in through this part of the house here, or walk in this way. They don't have to then now break through. But then again, that's a narrow gap. If you're guarding, it's really, it's really cool. And the other maps are really neat as well, in what they do there. The last thing I did not go over yet are the little 3D overlays. We have some for smoke, some for stun gas, and some for fire. So what will happen with these is you put these on the board, and they will simulate various hazard conditions. So you could put them on there and like, oh, this room's on fire. So you can't walk through. So you could set something up. Now you can't put it where there's furniture. You can't put it into a wall. But, yeah, that's a really neat little mechanic. I was trying to figure out how they snap in there. So they'll kind of snap in like that, and then now, like, this room's on fire for a turn. Or, I'm going to misput these together. I'm just trying to snap them. But so I'm not going to worry about trying to get them exact right now, as I don't want to break it. Or this has special, like, stun gas or whatever. Type of thing. Then there's also these other ones that are, they snap together like this, and then there are ones that you can put up against a wall, or if there's like a piece of furniture there, right? But yeah, it kind of neat, because then your little miniature can still be standing next to it, you know, oh, I'm in that radius of that. But that's a really fun thing as well. I wish they had more of these, but I don't think they're utilized super often. All right, that is what we have for that. There is plenty of other stuff to come in the video. So yeah, this was part 1. Kind of went through just what was in the game. You kind of got to see. So in part 2 here, I will kind of just go through the rules. If you don't really then, if you stuck around this one, but you don't really care as much about seeing what the exact rules are, but you want to see what the characters do, check out part 3. We'll go through all their characters. See if I can do them all in one. I might have to do one part for the attackers. I'll probably do one for the attackers, one for the defenders, because there's so many in the base game. Then when we get to the boxes, we'll probably end up doing one video per box. There's 8 characters in each. But once you've already explained how to go through the rules and all that, this should kind of fly through them a little bit quicker. So we'll see how that ends up going. Then there's also the extra game boards. There's extra components and stuff. And I want to go through all that stuff because that way, if you're like, hey, this is really cool, I like this, I picked it up off of like Game Steward or found a copy on eBay or whatever. But now you can see like, okay, do I just want the core game or do I need to pick up these boxes? If I'm picking up the boxes, you know, which character boxes do I need? Which extra accessories do I need? Do I want to buy the extra 3D 3D tokens? Do I want the extra map packs? Do I want the 3D or the acrylic tokens? We're gonna go through all that fun stuff. So it's gonna be a little bit long journey, lots of videos to go through. But yeah, you guys have any questions, comments about this game or any of the videos, definitely hit me up in the comments about it. I'll try my best to answer. I have not played Rainbow Six. I don't know if I've ever played Rainbow Six. I play other shooter games, but not many. I'm not a super huge shooter fan, but I love the mechanics of this game, which really got me intrigued. So I'll try and do what I can to answer you guys or help you out. With that, see you guys in the next couple of videos. Bye.